Now listen carefully, because what I'm about to say is not just another message. It's a wake-up call that could change the direction of your entire life. Right now, at this exact moment, you are about to scroll past this, just like you've done 100 times before. But something stopped you, something made you pause, and that is not an accident. That is your signal. Because the truth is, most people will never hear this message long enough to understand it. They'll keep scrolling, keep distracting themselves, keep running from the one thing that could transform everything. But you didn't. And if you stay until the end, you will understand why this moment matters more than you think. There is a dangerous trap that almost everyone is falling into, and it doesn't look dangerous at all. It looks harmless. It looks like entertainment, like quick breaks, like just one more video. But slowly, quietly, it's stealing your time, your focus, your energy, and most importantly, your purpose. It's keeping you comfortable while your potential is waiting. It's keeping you busy while your destiny is calling. And the scariest part? You don't even realize it's happening. Deep inside you, there is something different, something powerful, something that doesn't let you stay satisfied with average. That feeling you get when you know you're meant for more, that's real. That's not imagination. That's not ego. That is your gift trying to get your attention. Because you are not like everyone else. You don't think like everyone else. You don't dream like everyone else. And that's exactly why this message found you. You were given something unique, a mindset, a vision, a perspective that only you carry. And the world may not see it yet. People around you may not understand it yet. But that doesn't change the truth. You are the only one with this exact combination of thoughts, experiences, and potential. And if you ignore it, it doesn't just disappear. It fades slowly while regret grows louder. But here's the shift. Everything changes the moment you become aware. The moment you realize that you've been distracted on purpose. The moment you see that your time is your most valuable asset, and you've been spending it on things that give nothing back. That awareness is power. Because now you have a choice. You can keep scrolling, keep delaying, keep telling yourself, "I'll start tomorrow." Or you can break the pattern right now. The voice inside you, the one that tells you to do more, to be more, to step up, that voice is not there to annoy you. It's there to guide you. It's there to remind you that you were not created to waste your life watching others live theirs. You were created to build something, to become something, to leave something behind that matters. And understand this clearly. Your gift is not meant to stay hidden. It's not meant to stay quiet. It's not meant to stay potential. It's meant to be used. But it requires action. It requires discipline. It requires you to step away from the noise and focus on what truly matters. So this is your moment. Not later, not tomorrow, right now. Decide that you're done being trapped. Decide that your time has value. Decide that your purpose deserves your attention. Because the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise is one decision made in a single moment. And this could be that moment for you. Right now, in this very moment, something subtle but powerful is happening, and most people are completely unaware of it. You pick up your phone for a second, telling yourself it's just a quick check, just a short break, nothing serious. But seconds turn into minutes, and minutes quietly slip into hours. You move from one video to another, one post to the next, without ever realizing that you're not really choosing anymore. You're being pulled. This is how the trap works. It doesn't force you. It doesn't warn you. It simply invites you in, over and over again, until your attention becomes its possession. And the truth is, the more you scroll, the less you think, the less you act, and the further you drift from the life you once imagined for yourself. This trap is dangerous because it feels comfortable. It gives you small doses of entertainment, quick hits of distraction, just enough to keep you from feeling bored, but never enough to make you feel fulfilled. It replaces deep focus with shallow attention, meaningful action with passive watching, and real progress with the illusion of being busy. You might feel like you've spent your time doing something, but at the end of the day, nothing has actually moved forward in your life. Your goals remain where they were, your ideas stay unbuilt, and your potential remains untouched. And slowly, without noticing, you begin to accept this as normal. But it's not normal. It's conditioning. It's a pattern that trains your mind to avoid effort and chase ease. Every time you choose scrolling over action, you reinforce the habit of delay. Every time you silence that inner voice telling you to start, you weaken your discipline just a little more. And over time, that small habit grows into a lifestyle where starting feels harder, focusing feels impossible, and finishing something meaningful feels out of reach. That's the real danger, not the scrolling itself, but what it turns you into if you let it continue. There is a version of you that knows this isn't right. A version of you that feels the discomfort after wasting hours, that senses there is more you could be doing, more you could become. That feeling is not there to make you feel guilty, it's there to wake you up. Because the moment you recognize the trap, you also gain the power to step out of it. Awareness breaks the illusion. Awareness reminds you that your time is limited, your energy is valuable, and your focus is something you must protect if you want to build anything meaningful. And the truth is, escaping this trap doesn't require something dramatic or impossible. It starts with a simple decision: to pause, to question, to choose differently just once. To put the phone down when it's easiest to keep scrolling. To act on one idea instead of watching 10 others. That small shift begins to rebuild your control, your discipline, your direction. Because every time you choose intention over distraction, you move one step closer to the life you keep imagining but haven't fully stepped into yet. There is something within you that sets you apart, something that cannot be copied, replaced, or replicated by anyone else, and most of the time, it goes unnoticed not because it isn't powerful, but because it has been buried under doubt, distraction, and delay. From the outside, it may look like you're just like everyone else, following the same routines, dealing with the same struggles, moving through the same daily patterns. But deep inside, there is a quiet awareness that you are capable of more. You feel it in moments of silence, in flashes of ideas, in the way your mind sees possibilities where others see limits. That is not random. That is your unique gift trying to rise above the noise. The challenge is that the world rarely slows down enough for you to recognize it. You are constantly surrounded by voices telling you what to do, how to think, what success should look like, and how fast you should achieve it. And in all that noise, your own voice becomes harder to hear. You begin to compare yourself to others, measure your progress against timelines that were never meant for you, and question whether what you have inside you is even valuable. But the truth is, your gift was never designed to fit into someone else's path. It was designed to create your own. Your gift might not look obvious right now. It might not be something the world instantly praises or recognizes. It could be the way you think differently, the way you understand people, the way you solve problems, or the way you imagine things that don't yet exist. And because it doesn't always come with immediate results, it's easy to ignore it, to push it aside, to tell yourself you'll focus on it later. But later is where most potential disappears. Later is where ideas fade, confidence weakens, and opportunities quietly pass by. What makes your gift powerful is not just that it's unique, but that it's yours alone. No one else has lived your experiences, faced your exact challenges, or developed your perspective in the same way. That combination creates something original, something that has value in ways you may not even fully understand yet. But for it to grow, for it to turn into something real, it needs your attention. It needs your belief. It needs your willingness to take it seriously, even when no one else does. There will always be reasons to wait. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, uncertainty about where to start. Those thoughts will always exist, but they are not signals to stop. They are signs that you are standing at the edge of something meaningful. Because anything that has the potential to change your life will feel uncomfortable at the beginning. It will challenge you, stretch you, and force you to move beyond what feels safe. But that is exactly how your gift begins to take shape. You don't need permission to use what you've been given. You don't need perfect conditions or complete clarity. You just need to start acknowledging that what's inside you matters. The moment you stop ignoring it, the moment you give it even a small amount of focus, it begins to grow stronger. And over time, what once felt uncertain begins to turn into confidence, direction, and purpose. There is a voice inside you that you've heard many times before, but you haven't always listened to it. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention, and it doesn't force you to follow it. It speaks quietly, often in moments when everything else is still, when you're alone, when you're thinking deeply, when you feel that subtle pull towards something more. That voice is not random, and it's not meaningless. It's guidance. It's the part of you that sees beyond your current situation, beyond your fears, beyond your excuses, and tries to lead you towards something greater. The problem is, this world is full of noise. Constant notifications, endless opinions, distractions that never stop. And every time that noise gets louder, your inner voice gets pushed further into the background. You begin to rely more on what others are saying, what others are doing, what others expect from you. Slowly, without realizing it, you start disconnecting from your own direction. You hesitate more. You second-guess yourself. You wait for validation before taking action. And that quiet voice that once guided you clearly becomes harder to recognize, but it never disappears. It waits. It stays with you, patient and consistent, even when you ignore it. You feel it when something doesn't sit right with you, even if everything looks fine on the outside. You feel it when you know you should be doing something important, but you keep delaying it. You feel it when you sense that your current path isn't aligned with who you truly are. That discomfort, that tension, it's not there to confuse you, it's there to redirect you. Listening to that voice requires something most people avoid: stillness. It requires you to step away from constant stimulation and give yourself space to think clearly. Because when you are always consuming, always reacting, always distracted, you leave no room for awareness. And without awareness, you move through life on autopilot, making choices that don't truly reflect what you want or who you are becoming. Trusting that inner voice is not always easy. It will often guide you toward decisions that feel uncertain, uncomfortable, or even risky. It might tell you to step away from something familiar, to begin something new, or to push yourself in ways you haven't before. And your mind will resist it. Your fear will question it. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. In fact, the more it challenges you, the more likely it is leading you somewhere meaningful. What you need to understand is that this voice knows you better than anyone else ever will. It is shaped by your deepest values, your true desires, and your untapped potential. It doesn't care about approval, it doesn't follow trends, and it doesn't settle for comfort. It pushes you toward growth, toward purpose, toward becoming the person you are capable of being. The moment you begin to listen, to truly listen, you start to move differently. Your decisions become clearer. Your actions become more intentional. You stop chasing distractions and start following direction. And while the path may not always be easy, it will be real. It will be yours. And step by step, that quiet voice will lead you closer to the life you were meant to live. There comes a point where you begin to notice a pattern in your life, a quiet repetition that keeps showing up no matter how many times you promise yourself things will be different. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, you'll focus later, you'll finally take action when the timing feels right. But tomorrow turns into another tomorrow, later keeps getting pushed further away, and the right time never truly arrives. This is not because you lack ability or potential. It's because you've been caught in a cycle of delay so subtle that it feels normal, even justified. This cycle is built on small decisions that seem harmless in the moment, choosing comfort over effort, distraction over focus, excuses over responsibility. Each choice feels insignificant by itself, but together they create a pattern that quietly controls your direction. You start believing you're waiting for clarity, when in reality, you're avoiding commitment. You convince yourself you need more time, more knowledge, more confidence, when the truth is, what you really need is to begin. Breaking this cycle is not about making a massive, life-changing move overnight. It's about interrupting the pattern at its weakest point, the moment of decision. That moment when you're about to delay again, about to scroll again, about to tell yourself, just one more time. That's where change begins. Because every cycle continues only when it's allowed to repeat. The second you choose differently, even in the smallest way, you create a crack in that pattern. But here's where most people struggle. The mind resists change, even when change is necessary. It prefers what is familiar, even if that familiarity is holding you back. So when you try to break the cycle, you'll feel resistance. You'll feel discomfort. You might even feel doubt creeping in, telling you it's not worth it, telling you to go back to what's easy. That resistance is not a sign to stop. It's proof that you are stepping outside the pattern that has been controlling you. Consistency is what transforms that single decision into a new direction. Not perfection, not extreme discipline overnight, but repeated intention. Choosing action over delay again and again, even when it feels small, even when it feels slow. Because every time you follow through on something you said you would do, you rebuild trust in yourself. And that trust becomes the foundation for bigger actions, stronger discipline, and clearer purpose. You don't need to fix your entire life at once. You just need to stop repeating what you already know isn't working. You need to recognize that the cycle of delay is not something you are stuck in, it's something you are participating in. And that realization gives you power. Because if you are part of the cycle, you also have the ability to step out of it. The moment you decide that enough is enough, that you are done postponing your own growth, something begins to shift. Your time starts to feel more valuable. Your actions become more deliberate. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on commitment. And slowly, the version of you that once felt stuck begins to move forward. Not because everything is perfect, but because you chose to break the pattern instead of continuing it. There is a moment in every person's life that doesn't look dramatic from the outside, but inside, it changes everything. It's the moment where you stop waiting. Not because the world suddenly gave you permission, not because everything finally became clear, but because something within you decides that enough is enough. Enough of hesitation, enough of overthinking, enough of watching time pass while your life stays in the same place. This moment doesn't announce itself loudly. It comes quietly, almost like a realization that you can no longer ignore what you've been feeling for so long. Stepping into your calling begins with accepting a simple but powerful truth. No one is coming to push you into the life you want. No one is going to arrive at the perfect time, hand you certainty, and guide you step by step. That responsibility has always been yours. And while that might feel heavy at first, it's also freeing, because it means your progress is not controlled by luck, timing, or approval. It is controlled by your willingness to act. The idea of a calling often feels distant, like something reserved for a different version of you, someone more confident, more prepared, more experienced. But your calling doesn't wait for you to become perfect. It begins the moment you decide to move in its direction. It begins when you take what you already have, your ideas, your skills, your perspective, and you start using them, even if they feel incomplete. Because clarity is not something you find before you start. It is something you build along the way. There will be uncertainty. There will be moments where you question if you're on the right path, moments where progress feels slow, moments where the results don't match your expectations. That's part of the process. What matters is not avoiding those moments, but continuing despite them. Because every step you take, even the imperfect ones, teaches you something you couldn't learn by standing still. Every attempt strengthens your ability to move forward with more awareness and more confidence. One of the biggest shifts you can make is to stop seeing your actions as small or insignificant. The effort you put in today, no matter how minor it seems, is shaping who you are becoming. The discipline you build, the habits you create, the focus you develop, these are the foundations of your future. And when you stay consistent, those small actions begin to compound into something powerful. What once felt like effort starts to feel natural. What once felt uncertain starts to feel clear. You don't need to have everything figured out to begin. You don't need guarantees or perfect conditions. What you need is the courage to take responsibility for your direction and the commitment to keep going when it's easier to stop. Because stepping into your calling is not about one big decision. It's about a series of choices made daily that align with the life you know you are capable of creating. And the truth is, you already feel it. That pull, that curiosity, that quiet sense that there is something more waiting for you. That's not there by accident. It's there because your path is already in front of you. You just have to start walking it. There is a shift that happens when you finally understand the value of your time, and it changes the way you see everything around you. What once felt normal begins to feel like a distraction. What once seemed harmless starts to reveal its true cost. You begin to notice how easily your attention is taken, how quickly your energy is drained, and how often your focus is pulled away from what actually matters. And in that awareness, a new level of clarity begins to form, one that forces you to question every habit, every routine, and every choice that fills your day. Most people treat time like it's endless, like there will always be another chance, another opportunity, another day to start. But the reality is far more serious than that. Every moment you spend without intention is a moment you cannot recover. Every hour lost to distraction is an hour that could have been invested into growth, into building something meaningful, into becoming someone stronger. And while that may sound intense, it's not meant to create pressure. It's meant to create perspective. Because when you truly understand that your time is limited, you stop wasting it on things that give you nothing in return. Protecting your focus becomes essential. In a world designed to keep you distracted, choosing to concentrate on one thing at a time becomes a powerful act. It's not easy because distractions are everywhere, constantly competing for your attention. But every time you resist that pull, every time you bring your mind back to what matters, you strengthen your ability to stay present. And that ability is what allows you to make real progress. Because nothing meaningful is built through scattered effort. It requires depth, consistency, and full attention. You also begin to realize that energy matters just as much as time. It's not only about how many hours you have, but how you use them. If your mind is constantly overloaded with noise, if your focus is always divided, then even the time you dedicate to your goals becomes less effective. That's why stepping away from unnecessary distractions is not a loss, it's a gain. It creates space for clarity, for creativity, for deeper thinking. It allows you to operate at a level where your actions actually produce results. As this awareness grows, your standards begin to change. You become more intentional with what you allow into your life. You start setting boundaries, not because you want to limit yourself, but because you want to protect what truly matters. You understand that saying no to distractions is actually saying yes to your future. And with that mindset, your decisions become stronger, your discipline becomes more natural, and your direction becomes more defined. This is where transformation begins, not with a sudden breakthrough, but with a consistent respect for your own time and attention. When you stop treating your focus as something disposable and start treating it as something valuable, everything else starts to align. Your actions become more meaningful, your progress becomes more visible, and your life begins to move in a direction that reflects your true potential. Now everything comes down to this moment, because a message like this means nothing if it doesn't lead to a decision. You've heard the truth about the trap. You've recognized the distractions. You've felt that inner voice, and you've seen the pattern that's been holding you back. But awareness alone is not enough. What matters is what you do next. Because your life will not change by what you know, it will change by what you choose. Right now, you stand at a quiet turning point. One path is familiar, easy, and comfortable. It's the path of delay, distraction, and endless scrolling, where days pass quickly but nothing truly moves forward. The other path is different. It requires focus, discipline, and intention. It asks more from you, but it also gives more back. Growth, purpose, progress, and a life that actually feels like it's yours. And the truth is, no one else can choose that path for you. You were never meant to live on autopilot. You were never meant to spend your time watching others build what you were capable of creating. There is something inside you that is too important to ignore, too powerful to waste, and too unique to be replaced. And every day you delay stepping into it is a day that opportunity slips further away. But the moment you decide to act, even in the smallest way, everything begins to shift. So let this be more than just another video, more than just another message you agree with and then forget. Let this be the line you draw between who you were and who you are becoming. Put the distractions aside, take control of your time, listen to that voice within you and follow it with action. Start where you are, with what you have, and move forward without waiting for perfect conditions. Because one day, you will look back at your life and realize that everything changed not because of luck, not because of timing, but because you made a decision in a moment just like this. And that moment is right now.